Lou Engle. Lou Engle is a prayer intercessor guy that does big, huge stadium events across the world. And I know, I've met Lou several times, but he started having these Israel revelations about Israel this past year. Well, Dean, my friend Dean from Canada, was getting these YouTube videos from somewhere about Lou Engle's revelation about Israel. He's just praying. If you know Lou, he's just real. He kind of prays like the Jews. He's davening like this. He's praying, and he's saying all of these things about Israel, and that Israel, there's something going on with Israel, and we've got to, God is speaking to me about the importance of the land of Israel, significance of Jerusalem, and all these other things. And he's doing a series of fasting over Israel. Dean is picking up on this. He sends me some of these videos. He said, "You got to watch this. Something's going on." Anyway, Dean is began to have these meetings. He asked for meetings. He said, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you guys about Israel." He went to Lou, went to Mike Bickle, and immediately they started saying, "Hey, we got to." This was 13 years ago, by the way, that they got the farm. 13 years ago that they got the Truman farm, and it's just sit there. There's nothing happened to this farm. The farm sits on a road that is an interstate. It's been renamed I-49. Anybody, which he says is obviously Isaiah 49. Isaiah 49 is, "I've inscribed you in my hand. You will never be taken out of my palm of my hand." It's a very serious Israel passage. I-49, right here, right beside the interstate, all of this property. Nothing's been done to it. So he says, "Tommy, you got to come and you got to help me talk to Mike and to Lou about this, probably how we can get this Israel, because they're wanting to use the property for to talk about Israel, or to promote Israel." There you go. Promote Israel. They want to promote Israel through this property, and they want to do this crazy thing. They don't want to offend the Jews or the Christians. Now, IHOB is really associated with a lot of other organizations, like organizations that would be offensive to the Jewish people. And I'm not going to get into the whole, missionary, that stuff like that. I'm not. That's for another time. But there's a rift, obviously, between Christian organizations and Jewish organizations. All right, we all recognize that there's a problem there. But Hayovel, just to underline, we have. How do we get past that? Because Hayovel we learned this. It wasn't something we knew, but we learned this pretty quickly, that servitude, the act of servitude, the act of coming to Israel to serve the Jewish people, breaks everything.